So I've already previously shot this video, but as I was thinking about it, I realized I forgot two key plot points and figured, you know what, I might as well just redo it. It's kind of a strange quality video anyway, so let's talk about Joker. 2019 film directed by Todd Phillips. It's a it's kind of in the mindset of like a Martin Scorsese or slight Tarantino vibes. It stars Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck or the Joker, Robert De Niro as Murray Franklin, and Frances Conroy as Penny Fleck. So those are kind of our three key actors and actresses in the movie. A whole bunch of side characters, but only one does anything for the film, and that is, I'm gonna pull it back up. I should have just added it. Zazie Beetz. Uh, she previously has played Domino in Deadpool 2, but in this movie she plays Sophia Dunmond. Um, Interesting. She's only just kind of popped up in the limelight. Previously, starting in 2013. It's interesting. I didn't know that, but that kind of makes sense. So, Zazie Beetz is kind of the love interest for Arthur Fleck, but in his mind, it's all in his head. She doesn't actually have feelings for him, and it's part of the psychological issues that Arthur goes through. Sadly, the film only has 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is kind of depressing. It's a really well-made film. I don't think it deserves to be that low. It didn't impress me as much as I thought it was going to. And with a budget of about 55 to 70 million, it made a 1.074 billion at the box office. That's really well. That's really good. And it won a Golden Globe and an Academy Award for Best Actor in 2020 for Joaquin Phoenix. It also won a Golden Globe for Best Score. So with all that said, the acting is quite phenomenal. Joaquin Phoenix is really good at showing Arthur's descent into madness and kind of, he is this character with a disorder who is shunned by society, bullied. He's pushed around to the point where he breaks and kills and just goes completely mad. De Niro, on the other hand, is wonderful at this whole being the antagonist. I've only ever previously really seen him kind of as the good guy. A great example, if I can find it, there it is. Right here. This little film called Goodfellas. It's a great example. Another Martin Scorsese. Well, this is Martin Scorsese. This is Todd Phillips, but in that movie, he's kind of the good guy, even though he's a mob member who is trying to teach Ray Liotta's character to not be so villainous. This is the best way I can describe it. Meanwhile, Joe Pesci's character is kind of the opposite of that. So in this, he's the antagonist to Arthur Fleck. I'll put that away later, it fell. So they have great chemistry together, and Robert De Niro is a long-time, highly regarded actor. The plot is really good. It's all about a man who is slowly slipping into madness, as I said, due to that being shunned by society for having a disorder. And then it's pushed further by people bullying him. And it really depicts how people with special needs were treated back in the 1980s and how they were shoved to the side and basically outcasts of society. To that point, when you see him kind of slipping into madness, there's a point in the film where he's attacking his mom because she didn't tell him something we'll talk about in a second. But you can't tell, is that in his head? Is it not in his head? Well, it wasn't in his head. what it was reality. She ended up having a heart attack, going to the hospital. That pushes him forward because people are bullying him outside of the hospital. And the subway scene, which is a little bit before that, where he does kill people. There's the gentlemen on the subway who are bullying him because his disorders. What his disorder is he randomly breaks out into uncontrollable laughter fits that are uncomfortable and are painful to him. To that point, he's bullied, and he's dressed up in his clown outfit from work, and these guys are walking up to him, singing "Send in the Clowns," and they start attacking him, beating on him. Pulls out the gun, shoots one, shoots the other. Third guy's getting away, chases him down, guns him down in the subway. That's murder. That's not self-defense. That's just plain murder. But to that point, it shows that he has, hey, something's clicked. He's gone from, I have an issue. I'm no longer getting the help I need to. Fuck it, I'm just going to start killing people. Another key plot point that I mentioned, so the reason why he starts yelling at his mom never told him that, at least in her mind, his father is Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne doesn't want to ruin his marriage, so he has nothing to do with Arthur, because he doesn't want to ruin his spotlight of Wayne Industries. He doesn't want to ruin his marriage with Martha, which I should mention, the actor and actress who played Martha and Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman are replaced, I should say. There's a new actor and actress in the role. The Thomas Wayne kind of looks like Robert De Niro. It's kind of creepy, and it's also sort of confusing. And I wonder if that's done on purpose to kind of show that he's might be slightly insane. Seeing that, hey, this is Thomas Wayne. Well, he kind of looks like Murray Franklin, but it's Thomas Wayne. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. It's probably not done on purpose, though. So, for me, just as for me, it does slow down a bit. There's a good 30 minutes that feels like it's an hour. And that's kind of in that middle point, just before the reveal that Thomas Wayne might be Arthur's father. Just before the hospital, just before the end. And the other thing, and like I was saying about Murray Franklin, he is a bully towards Arthur. So much so that Arthur imagines in his head that he's going to go on to Murray's show. He's going to have this great performance and show off his comedy, his comedic levels. And that's not what happens. What happens is he goes on, he laughs, he gets embarrassed. So then he's brought onto the show for real after, I forget what the catalyst was, but he's brought onto the show for real. And he basically is brought on to make fun of him. He thinks he's going to go on and be able to show off, but Murray Franklin is more interested in making a laughing stock out of him. So, I want to talk about the scene because it helps with the next part I want to talk about, which is the effects of the movie. They seem very practical. And the scene I'm going to talk about, which is the end scene here, that ties into this. So, he's on set with Murray. They're joshing around, he starts to make fun of him. Arthur snaps and starts getting angry and telling Murray off, screaming, yelling, and pulls out a gun and shoots Murray in the head. My mind, that effect looked real, like they just straight up shot De Niro in the head, but obviously it was not what happened. But in my mind, I was like, whoa, that was like really very practically done. Might not have been. For all I know, it could have been CGI, but it looked real. And it's also a shocking moment that sadly got ruined for me. There's this video that was going around the internet, and it was Goofy as Joker, and he's having the moment, and then he gives a classic "Hey-ya!" and then shoots. I think it was supposed to be Pooh Bear who was pretending. I think it was Winnie the Pooh who was pretending to be Murray Franklin. Um, so I was like, oh, that can't be like what actually happens at the end. I didn't see this movie in theaters, so I didn't know. I looked it up and I was like, oh, well, now it's less entertaining. But when it came up, the tension that builds to it, and the screaming, the yelling, and the slamming of fists, and he's pointing his finger and he's screaming at the audience, and just bang. Still a gut-wrenching moment. Kind of. It's actually the ending of Birds of Prey with the gunshot that killed Ewan McGregor's character Black Mask, or Roman Sionis, felt anticlimactic to me because there was really no build-up. There was so much build-up to this moment between the bullying and then that just downright outcry of screaming and yelling, and it was like, my mind got blown away. I will give it that. So like I said, that effect was really good, and it looked real. So I assume it was done mostly practical. So since this film didn't shock me as much as I wished it did, it's still a great movie. And when I rewatched it last night, I have to say I was absolutely blown away. Still, it's just not as... There's something in it that I wish had happened, but I can't put my finger on it. And like I said, I don't know what that moment is or what it could have been, but there's something missing inside of this movie. I think I wish there was a little more at the end with the Jokers, where they start to riot. Had the shooting of De Niro been the middle point of the film, which then shoots him into madness, where all of these Joker imitators and followers are coming out and they're rioting in the streets. Had that been the last act of the movie versus just the last 10 minutes, I think this would be a perfect 10 in my book. But because it's not really what happens, and the catalyst of the end of the film is Murray's death, I gotta say, I wish it was a little different. But from a filmmaking standpoint, the fact that there's not one person on this cast who's bad. There's not there's a little bit of drag in the movie, but not enough to really ruin it. I gotta say, this is a 9 out of 10, just from a filmmaking standpoint. From my standpoint, it's not one I rewatched the most. It's probably the second time I've watched it was last night. But in terms of the whole DCEU, and technically, yes, this is sort of a spin. It's hard to explain. A lot of theories, and one I actually kind of agree with, is this Joker takes place in 1980s. And then our Jared Leto Joker, that is supposedly the Joker of the DCEU, is a copycat, which I'm okay with. I can kind of see that being the case. But had this been the Joker we got in Suicide Squad, I think I would have been blown away. Joaquin Phoenix does a wonderful job, and I highly recommend this movie, which, yes, I do a lot of movies, but as I've said, there are some I'm not going to highly recommend to you. If you're not a huge DC fan, you can skip Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman. Don't skip this one, though. There's so much more inside of Joker than a supervillain origin story, than a just normal superhero film. There's heart, there's obviously tension, and there's just all around good filmmaking involved. So you need to watch this. I think if in the future, when people go to film school, let's pick up our friend Goodfellas here. There's a scene in this, in that movie, there's a scene where they're walking through a restaurant, and it's like this long, looks like a 2-minute long take, and it's referenced a lot. The Godfather gets referenced a lot. Jaws. All of those movies get referenced a lot in film schools. I think in the future we will be referencing Joker. No, it obviously it doesn't have a high score on Rotten Tomatoes, and I checked when I initially did this and then forgot a few things. The Rotten Tomatoes score from February, I think I did this review on Instagram, is this same as now. So it hasn't changed, and the numbers haven't, actually numbers went up, I think, about $200 million, so it went from 1.072 to 1.074. So this movie is wonderful, though. And as if they go with the idea that the Joker in this versus Jared Leto's Joker is a copycat of this, and that's how they fit this into the DCEU, I would love that. I am curious to see if they do more with this, or integrate him somehow into the DC universe. That'd be really cool. And I'm really excited to see what they do with this. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about Wonder Woman, probably easily the best DC film out there. And as you know, I did this as a side comparison of both Jokers. So until tomorrow, I'm Luke, and I will see you guys later. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed what you just watched. If you're interested in more of my videos, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notifications every time I upload a video. And also, if you could, just leave a like down below and maybe even consider commenting, telling me things I did good, things I did bad.